Well, everyone else is talking about Xbox 360 games at the moment on YouTube, so I thought, why don't I? Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for pressing play once again. I'm the man they call Pixel Paul and I hope you're all doing well. So yeah, we've got an Xbox 360 video. Now at the moment everybody on YouTube is talking about Xbox 360 games and we know why, because of the Xbox 360 shop, online shop is closing down. So everybody's talking about Xbox 360 games, what games you should be picking up now before price rises. And yeah, so I'd plan to do a similar sort of video on the Xbox 360. Excuse me, because I'm struggling with a bit of a chesty cough at the moment, so apologies if I do cough during this video. I will try not to. But yeah, everybody's talking about Xbox 360. I had planned to do a bit of a retread of one of my earlier videos that I did back in December 2023. So you may know I have a series of videos called 10 for a tenner, where I basically show you 10 games that you can buy for a console for £10. So I thought I would revisit the Xbox 360 10 just to see where the sort of market is currently at the moment, just to compare the prices from nearly 6 months ago to how they are now. What I may do is in say another 3 or 4 months possibly do another comparison and see how much the prices have changed. But I just thought it'd be interesting before this possible market shift change with Xbox 360 games occurs, just to see how the land lies with those 10 games that I initially could pick up for £10 back in December. So I have the 10 games here and I'll show you which the 10 were, just to refresh your memory, because I'm sure you all watched that original video. I'll go through these games. Back in December 2023, each of these games cost just £1. And there are some absolute classics in here as well, so I'll go through them very quickly. We've got Gears of War 2, Deus Ex Human Revolution, absolute classic. Lost Planet. Now that is the Steelbook version, but the normal bog standard version of Lost Planet is £1 still. Another classic, Mass Effect. Project Gotham Racing 3. This was the wild card of the 10. Rage. Battlefield Bad Company 2. Crackdown. Personal favourite of mine. Mirror's Edge, and of course you had to have a Halo game in there, and I went for Halo Reach. So they were £10, 10 games, £10 back in December 2023. So we all know that there has been a sort of general rise in prices, and all of this is based on prices at CEX in the UK. So obviously the markets for 360 games in other countries may be slightly different. I think in like the US, the Xbox 360 wasn't quite as popular, so the games over there for the 360 are possibly not quite as common to find, and maybe even a little bit more expensive in comparison to how they are over here in the UK. But over here, the Xbox 360 was, probably of that generation, the market leader at that time, and it did have some amazing games, a huge back catalogue of games. So in CEX at the moment, none of these have actually changed price. These are all still £1. So you can still pick up that pile of games for just £10. So at the moment, we aren't seeing possibly that big shift or market shift of prices that everybody seems to be talking about. Certainly with those lower end sort of scale games perhaps. Obviously with some of the other games that are possibly less common, there is increases going on. But at the same time, those price increases have been happening all along anyway. So it's an interesting look at where we're at with these games. Now I understand with some of these cheaper games, like I said before, most of these are absolute bangers, they're classics. And with that, it means a lot of people already own these games. They already have them in the collection, so people aren't buying necessarily these games all the time, which means there's no demand for them. So that's why the prices of those games perhaps are staying so low. Now when you get a niche game, like on the Xbox 360, there's various sort of JRPGs and other niche games on that system that are possibly not as well known maybe, or less sort of a bit less common to find. That's where you are seeing those games increase in price. And there have been a few recently where I've seen them jump quite dramatically, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. But certainly at the moment, it's still a decent time to be collecting for the Xbox 360. And I personally think that that might not change that much. I don't really think that there's going to be a massive change in the prices. Prices of these games are going up all the time anyway, steadily, because they're just getting older. And people like me, there are more and more collectors now out there trying to pick these games up. So I don't think necessarily there is going to be a massive change with the prices that CEX charge for these games on the Xbox 360 when that shop closes, when the eShop closes. What I think is possibly now driving those prices up of some of the niche games is videos like this, perhaps, the word of mouth. I think everybody's kind of assuming at the moment that Xbox 360 games are going to rocket up in price when that eShop closes, and understandably so, possibly. And I just look back at, and I think this is a good example, the Wii U console. So we all know that the Wii U console didn't sell particularly well anywhere, didn't have a huge catalogue of games, but the prices of those games were relatively high in comparison to some of the other consoles. Now, when the online shop for the Wii U closed, everybody was sort of saying the same thing as they were with the Xbox 360, that the prices of the Wii U was going to go up and that everybody should go out and get those games as soon as possible. And it didn't really happen. Now, I'm not saying prices haven't gone up for the Wii U, because they have a little bit, but they have across all the retro systems at the moment. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 in particular, and they've all increased in price a little bit, but you kind of expect that, and that does happen pretty much every year anyway. And they also tend to drop down a little bit as well. So is there a mad rush? Is there a mad need for us to go out and buy all these Xbox 360 games at the moment? Is it that whole kind of fear of missing out? Is that what they call it now? Is it the fear of missing out that we're all kind of getting a little bit overwhelmed with and thinking about? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I personally am not 100% sure that we are going to see that massive rise in prices across all Xbox 360 games. So those games were at the sort of cheaper end of the scale of CEX prices. Now, obviously, some of the more, like I said before, niche titles, maybe cult titles, if you like, they are starting to go up in price a little bit. And I think the best example that I could think of and have seen is this one, and that is Lollipop Chainsaw. So I bought this one back in, I want to say possibly around December again, actually. So, nearly 5-6 months ago. And I got that for £22, which was quite a big spend for me at that point. But at the moment, this has now gone up to £35. And I think that's the type of game which people possibly are looking to maybe try and grab at the moment. Now, at the moment, that price increase could well be because loads of people are trying to buy this game. And looking on the CEX app at the moment, there are now only 8 copies of this in stock at CEX. So that's possibly what's driven the price of this game up, because in all fairness, this is a pretty average game. It's not that great. I quite enjoy it for what it is. Looking back, would I still have spent £22 on it, having played it now? Possibly not. I'm not sure. But it's nice to have in the collection. But yeah, it's not a great game. But again, like I say, this sort of word of mouth that is going around at the moment, these types of games, that's what's possibly pushing the price of these games up. Would that have gone up without this sort of word of mouth push? It's hard to say. It's really hard to say at the moment. But yeah, a game like that, Lollipop Chainsaw, has gone up pretty significantly at the moment. So in terms of games that I think have the potential to go up, well, I've picked out 3. And I think if there's one genre of game that the Xbox 360 had quite a lot of, it was kind of RPGs, JRPGs, and they had a fair share of exclusive ones as well. And I think it's those games which are probably worth looking out for, because a lot of them are pretty decent. At the moment, they're still relatively cheap, although they were cheaper at one point. But they are still relatively cheap. But I think there's a potential for games like these to go up a little bit more, regardless of whether the closure of the eShop influences it. I think these are the sort of games that may still go up anyway. So I've picked out three. Now, the first one, this is a game that not that long ago you could pick up, I think, for about £3, £4, certainly less than £5 anyway. And recently this has gone up to £15, and that is Blue Dragon. This is a cracking RPG, JRPG, and it's one of those games where, again, I think sort of word of mouth has got around about it, and yeah, the price of this has gone up to £15. I think there's the potential for this game to maybe go up a little bit more as well. So I certainly think Blue Dragon is a decent one to maybe pick up at the moment, and it is a decent game as well. Another one which is sort of on the rise, I think at the moment this is £12, I think, in CEX. Again, I think when I picked this up, it may have been about £5 or £6, and it's Infinite Undiscovery. I always say that game wrong, say the name of this game wrong. Infinite Undiscovery. I personally haven't played this one yet. A lot of the RPGs I haven't had a chance to get around to. I've played Blue Dragon, but yeah, some of these are so big, these games. I've just not had a chance to play some of them. But yeah, again, I think that's the type of game, only on Xbox 360, an Xbox 360 console exclusive. I think that's another game that could potentially see quite a significant rise. And then the last one, and again, I've not played this one yet. This wasn't an Xbox 360 exclusive, but you can still pick this up for £5. I don't think it had brilliant reviews. It didn't have bad reviews, but it didn't have brilliant reviews. But yeah, you can pick this up for £5 at the moment. I think there was a PlayStation 3 version as well, so it's not an exclusive one, and it's The Last Remnant. So again, it's another Square Enix game, and again, I think that has the potential to go up in price, certainly from £5. So I think that, again, is another one possibly to look out for. If you like your RPG type games, your fantasy games, I think on the 360 there's quite a lot. I mean, I've got a whole row there of JRPGs and RPGs, most of them waiting to be played, to be fair. Yeah, I think they're the games that may see quite an increase in price, possibly regardless of what happens with the eShop influence over the market. So yeah, interesting. Possibly not quite as in-depth as other people's videos that have done these Xbox 360 videos, but I just wanted to give my sort of overall opinion on where I think potentially we're going with the Xbox 360 at the moment. So yeah, those are my thoughts. My sort of opinion is that at the moment, err on the side of caution a little bit with these 360 games. I don't think you necessarily have to rush out and buy them now because of the fear of them maybe being 5 or 10, 15, £20 more in a couple of months' time. I think there's a fair amount of Xbox 360 games which will stay roughly at the same price. As we saw with those 10 games at the start of the video, they have not moved. So I certainly don't think there's a major need to rush for some of these games. One or two of them, obviously. There are, a few rare kind of games for the Xbox 360, and they, I guess, would have the potential to increase further. But again, would they do that anyway? Hard to say. Anyway, apologies. I feel like I've rambled in this video a little bit, but I just wanted to sort of air my thoughts on it at the moment because everybody else is doing it. So I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, if you can hit that subscription button, that would be very much appreciated, and I'll see you next time.